Hello and welcome or welcome back to Novels with Nora. Today is episode 1 of my TBR tackle, help me get rid of my books, book unhaul, reading books that have been on my shelf for too long. I'm not fully settled on a title for this series yet, as I'm sure you can tell, but if you've seen, I had 2 videos. One where I did a book unhaul and one where I redid my bookshelves. I feel like those are good prerequisite viewing for this video. You don't have to watch them, but I think they provide some context for what's happening here. So when I was unhauling my books, there were a lot of books that I was like, they've been on my shelves for a while, but I am still interested, so I'm gonna hold on to them for a little bit. And then when I was redoing my bookshelves, I was like, you know, I'm kind of sick of constantly rearranging and putting these same books back on here that I've had for years and just have not read. So today is the start of us putting an end to that. So I have several stacks of books here on my shelves that by the end of this year, I either need to read them or unhaul them because they cannot stay on these shelves any longer. I've broken this down into 3 categories. Things that I've gotten from book boxes that sound interesting and I've held on to them, but because they're pretty, but they also need to be interesting enough for me to read. And then things that have been on my shelves for ages and are like incredibly backlist titles that I might still really love, but I need to read to make room for all the new things that I want to read. And then things that aren't as old, but that have still been on my shelves for a really long time and need to be read. So the overarching theme here is read it or get rid of it. So this episode is going to be going through all of the books on this list, and then subsequent episodes will be reading those books. So today I'm just going to be going through all of them, letting you know what I'll be reading and what you can expect to see in future episodes. So I think we will just dive right in and get started with our special editions from book boxes. And I think a key thing to point out here is I don't really even remember what most of these books are about. Like looking at what I have here, I couldn't tell you. So we'll be figuring it out together, and maybe even in the process of going through this, I'll be like, I'm not interested in this anymore, and we can kick some to the curb in episode 1, because how exciting would that be? So we're gonna go through these special editions first. First, we have Last of the Talons by Sophie Kim, and this is a Fake Rate exclusive edition, so it's got a different cover, and then it also has, this little art print, with a letter from the author that's incredibly hard to read, and a signed book plate. And this, I did have to read what this synopsis was, and I will be holding on to this one. This one is about this girl who is forced to work for this like crime lord to protect the life of her sister, but then she gets sent on this mission and it becomes not at all what she thought she was in for, and this is something that I'm actually very interested in, so I just actually need to prioritize getting around to it. So that's our first book. Next we have Flower Heart by Catherine Bakewell. This makes my heart hurt. I'm gonna be so honest with you, because the original cover of this book, I'll put a picture of it here, is beautiful, stunning, gorgeous. Not that this isn't, but it's just, I don't know why they chose to do it like this. I think this is also a Fake Rate edition, yes. And I don't like this cover, and I think that's why I don't pick it up, because I don't want to have to look at this while I'm reading it. I don't know, I really like this art style, I don't want this to be the only thing on the cover of my book, you know? This one also has so much stuff inside of it, but let's see. Fake Rate editions, I really enjoy them because I really like what they do a lot of the time, but they don't do like end papers or like edges or anything like that, which I actually quite enjoy, but I don't like this cover. So this one, a power she can't control, a curse she can't undo, a boy she can't forget. And there's just no description telling me what this is about. The inside, the flap of the dust jacket, not a single word. The back one doesn't even have a picture of the author. Okay, so give me a second while I look up what this one is about. I remembered that this is one that I had put on like my most anticipated releases list of 2023. I think maybe 2024 at the latest. And so I know I was interested in it, I just can't remember what it was. I couldn't tell you. This author has another book coming out this year, I think, that I'm really interested in. Let's see. A simple touch causes poisonous flowers to bloom in her father's chest. The only way to heal him is to cast an extremely difficult spell that requires perfect control, and the only person willing to help is her former best friend Xavier, who's grown from a sweet, shy child into someone distant and mysterious. Xavier asks a terrible price in return, knowing Clara will give anything to save her father. As she struggles to reconcile the new Xavier with the boy she once loved, she discovers how many secrets he's hiding, and as she hunts for the truth, she instead finds the root of a terrible darkness that's taken hold in the queendom, a darkness only Clara's magic is powerful enough to stop. Of course, her magic is only powerful enough. Anyway, I am interested in this, so this one will be being held on to. I don't read a lot of straight romance like this anymore. This, however, does kind of feel like The Honey Witch, which I don't know where it went. It was just right there. It feels kind of like The Honey Witch, but like straight and a little bit darker. So interest. I didn't love The Honey Witch, so we'll see what this one has going for it. Next, we have another fake crate edition of Where Oceans Burn, and I do prefer this cover. I like this cover more. The original cover looks just like a generic romantasy cover. This has some intrigue happening, and this one actually has foiled edges, which is really interesting. This one I know I want to read because I almost actually read it this month, but then I was like, it's long. I don't know that I want to get into that. But it's about like, it's another just like straight romantasy here, but we have this girl who like she flies, right? See this? I feel like this art print perfectly encapsulates this. She flies, and so her domain is the sky, and then there's the guy, and I think his nickname is like the shark. Hilarious. But his domain is like the water, but then like her best friend dies and they have to like work together because she gets exiled or something. I don't know. I am wanting to get more into romantasy this year. I am, and I think this would be a good place to start, especially since I already own it. So I am actually interested in reading this. However, it's a series, and I don't know that I'll like it enough to continue on with the series, but I do want to read this one. After that, we have This Vicious Grace by Emily Thiede, Thiede. We're gonna go with Thiede. This is another fake crate edition, I believe. Actually, I'm not sure. It doesn't say. Fake crate. Okay. So I do also like this cover. This is fun. It makes them look like children, but you know, it is what it is. Let's see. Oh, right. 3 weddings, 3 funerals. So it's to magnify a partner's magic, not kill every suitor she touches. This I am actually really interested in reading. It's just, I put it in a spot in my shelves where I couldn't really see it unless I was like crouched down with the intention of finding it. So I'm really looking forward to getting around to this one. I remember it was like super popular when it first came out. Now I've heard like nothing about it. So that makes me a little worried, but I am interested in getting around to this one. I just need to put it in a place where I can actually see it and then remember to pick it up. After that, we have Road of the Lost by Nafisa Azad, and I read another book by her. I can't remember the title of it. I'll put a picture of it up. Editing me is going to hate all this. But this, I'm going to be honest with you, I don't even really know what it's about, and I don't care to know what it's about because I loved her writing in that other book I read from her. So I'm really interested in reading this. This looks like it's going to be like a fae type book. Even the most powerful magic can't hide a secret forever. Okay, so it is fae, and I don't typically love stories about fae. Oh, she thought she was one type of creature, but she's something different entirely. Wow. Someone else breathes beneath the skin she is in. Okay, I'm interested. Also, if it's anything like the other book I've read from this author, which I really can't remember the name of. I have no clue, but the messaging in that was really good, and it was like very powerful, and I really enjoyed that. So I'm really actually looking forward to getting around to this, even if it is fae. Maybe this will be the first fae book that I actually enjoy. We'll have to see. The back, it has like, that's interesting. Okay, and then finally for the special editions, I believe we have a Fairy Loot, a Lumacrate exclusive edition of The Whispering Dark. This one usually goes right behind Purple Pie Man, so I cannot see it, but I know I'm excited about this one. Delaney always talked to the dark, but now the dark talks back. Oh, she's deaf. Okay. Our main character is deaf. She goes to a prestigious school, trains students to slip between parallel worlds. Okay. Oh, our male main character's name is Colton? I thought this was a lesbian book. Oh, it is. Okay, Colton is a girl. I was thinking of Colton Haynes, the actor. That's a man. This is a woman. Got it. Okay. And they're not supposed to be together, but they're pulled together. And this copy is stunning. This one's been on my shelf for a while, and I know that I wanted to read it. Like, it's been sitting there. I'm like, I want to get to it eventually. I just need to actually, that's the case with all of these. I need to prioritize picking them up over some of the newer things on my shelf. So this, yeah, I really want to read this. Also, I think Kelly Andrew had another book come out either recently or is coming out this year that sounded really interesting to me, so definitely want to read this first. So those are all of the special editions on this list, and quite a few. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 special editions. So, you know, not super great, especially because book boxes are so expensive. So the fact that I have not read any of these is quite disappointing in myself, honestly. So now we're going to move on to ones that have been on my shelf for a while, and I know I'm excited about, but I need to, again, prioritize getting to them. So first we have Furyborn by Claire Legrand. I am so excited to read this. It's a fantasy series, and when things are in a series, it's so much harder for me to justify picking them up, I guess, because I know reading this is, I think it's a trilogy, I want to say. It's either a trilogy or there's 4 of them. And I just know picking this up means I have to pick up all the other ones, which means there's at least 2 other books that I am reading in this series, continuing this story rather than picking up a new story. So I just need to, and I love series, okay? I love them so much. And it's just, I really need to, again, prioritize getting to them. Are you noticing a theme? So this, I want to read so badly. And also this, like, this is stunning. And it's a nice floppy book. And it's like about different queens. As Riel and Alania fight in a cosmic war that spans millennia, their stories intersect and the shocking connections between them ultimately determine the fate of their world and of each other. This sounds like something I'm going to absolutely eat up. It kind of reminds me of Three Dark Crowns, where we have like different queens and like, you know, 2 young women centuries apart hold the power to either save their world or doom it. It's obviously not at all similar to Three Dark Crowns, but it kind of reminds me, and I love that series. So I'm really looking forward to picking this up. I just need to commit myself to the series, is what it really is. After that, we have All Our Hidden Gifts, and I don't know why I haven't picked this one up. I think just the size of it is weird, and also this is the stiffest paperback I have ever encountered. Like, it's so stiff, but the chapter headers are really pretty. It's just such a stiff book. Let's see. Ghostly menace, queer liberation, and a sweet non-binary romance all find room in this modern Irish contemporary. Okay, I feel like that's all. The thing is, all of these I bought at one point or received at one point and was interested in, and that's why they've stayed here. So reading these descriptions, I'm like, oh yeah, that does sound really good. It sounds like something I'd really enjoy. So then why haven't you picked them up, girl? Pick them up. They're on your shelf. Go ahead and read them. This honestly just made me angry at myself, and I feel like this is fueling me to get these read. Consumed by guilt, Maeve teams up with the beautiful, sophisticated classmate Fiona and sexiest, mysterious Ro. Okay, I live a romance. I think this one might also be a series. I do think that might be the case with this one. And also, I just know the like physical reading experience of this is gonna suck because of how stiff this is. How do you even make a paperback this stiff? That's really my main issue with this one. It's just I don't like that. After that, we have These Violent Delights and Our Violent Ends by Chloe Gong. I really want to read this. Again, I think it's a duology. I don't know. They sound like something I'd be really into. It's like 1920s Shanghai, and it's like a Romeo Juliet retelling. This sounds like something I'd really enjoy. It's just a matter of choosing these over things that are on my shelves that are newer and that I'm more excited about. So again, just really need to prioritize. And also I think it's because it's a duology. I know that it's more of a commitment than just a single book. But I do really want to read these. Also, wasn't there a spin-off of this series, like Foul Lady Fortune? Is that different series or continuation? I'm not sure. I'll have to look into that. But I do really want to read these. I just need to prioritize them. And then finally in that stack, we have The Ones We Burn by Rebecca Mix. This, I was so excited when it came out. I pre-ordered it. I sent my mom to the Barnes & Noble to get it for me on the day it came out because I wanted to read it so badly. Unfortunately, this author had some controversies and I just didn't want to pick it up right then because I kind of had a bad taste in my mouth. I didn't want that to affect my reading experience. But I don't know if people just like moved on from that or they realized it wasn't as big of a deal as they thought it was. I feel like author controversies are really, really something because sometimes it's like a huge deal, you know, like J.K. Rowling and Sarah J. Maas and like being like genuinely like bad people. But then sometimes like this, it's like, I can't even remember what the problem was. And like, maybe that's on me for not keeping myself educated and up to date with things. But like, do you remember? I'm sure I could look it up and figure it out. But like this author's published several other things and so many people are really excited for her like upcoming releases. So I feel like either it wasn't that bad or people just moved on really quickly. So I don't know. This story does sound interesting to me and I already own it. So I will go ahead and read it. But I also just want to look into, seeing this picture, I feel like it was, she did like a reverse racism thing where she made like her black characters. She made them the ones who were like ruling over everyone and like subjugating them, which yeah, I can see how that would be problematic. But I also remember her like making a statement. So maybe in the vlog that I read this in, I'll like look back at that statement and we'll figure out what actually happened here. But I do want to read this. The concept does sound really interesting. Okay, that was all for the ones that are like newer releases that I have just been on my shelves for too long. And now we are moving into the backlist titles that have been here for forever, honestly. Some of these have been here since before I went to college and even like before I was in high school. So they're like old books. Starting with the Scorpion Rules by Erin Bow. And I feel like this cover alone kind of gives you a visual of the time period this came out. And this is 2016. Yeah. So this one is, I do remember looking at this now, what this one is about though. It is about this world where like everything is at peace, but in order to keep this peace, like the rulers send their children as like hostages so that if the like rulers mess up, oh, we have your kid, don't do that. And so it's about like these kids who are being held hostage here, kind of realizing everything's not quite as it seems. It seems very like early like 2010s YA dystopia, which I actually quite enjoy. I read another like YA dystopian series earlier this year, didn't love it, but I've just been wanting to get around to this one for so long, but it's just, it gets lost in the shuffle of like all new releases and like shiny new books. So shiny old books, yeah, we're gonna get to you this year. After that, we have These Broken Stars by Amy Kaufman and Megan Spooner. This is a really heavy one, very thick pages, but this book is set in space, and I love books that are set in space, especially like fantasy or sci-fi. I love books that are set in space, and Amy Kaufman and Megan Spooner have written other things together. I think it was The Other Side of the Sky. I read that series from them and enjoyed it well enough, so I know I like their writing. So I'm actually really excited to look. Oh, it's a night like any other on board the Icarus. Then catastrophe strikes. The massive luxury space liner is yanked out of hyperspace and plummets into the nearest planet. Lilac LaRue and Tarver Morensen survive, and they seem to be alone. We'll see how this goes. Lilac LaRue is a crazy name and is definitely giving, when do we have, 2013. Yeah, definitely giving 2013. But I think this one is also a series, and look at this cover. We've got like the real people on there, product of its time. But I love books that are set in space, and I can't always find ones, because like I don't want it to be about space. Like The Martian and Hail Mary, I think it is. I'm kind of interested in Hail Mary, but like I don't want things where like the plot is being in space. I want space to be like the backdrop for the plot that's happening, if that makes any sense. And this fits in there, so I am really excited to get to this. In a similar vein, we have Defy the Stars by Claudia Gray. Claudia Gray is, I want to say, one of my favorite authors. I think I've only read one other book by her though, and it's Lost Stars, which is a Star Wars novel that I absolutely love. But this is another space novel. So, oh, and I think it's about like a robot maybe? Oh, she's a soldier, he's a machine. Yeah, so I know this is also a series though, and it's long. Maybe it's not, maybe it's just, okay, yeah, so it's like almost 500 pages. But I'm still really excited for this. I love me some space books, so I am really looking forward to this. Again, it's a series, so we'll see. This one, do we have a year on her? 2017, so a little bit newer. Not a whole lot though, but I am really excited about this. Also, this cover is stunning. Okay, after that, we have Verify by Joelle Charbonneau. This one I think I got in a Beacon book box. Again, not sure if they're still in business. They don't do any like customizations or anything, but it is signed. And Joelle Charbonneau, she's the one who wrote the YA dystopian series that I read earlier this year. She also wrote Dividing Eden and Eden Conquered, which is like a YA fantasy duology that I ate up. So that's why I have held on to this one. And this one is about like censorship, which I feel like now is the perfect time to read this. So I'm really, yes, Mary Beckley lives in a world without lies. So it's like this world where lying is just like not a thing, but then she realizes everything's not quite as it seems, and so, you know, maybe something's going on here. And I feel like this is now like the perfect time to be reading this. Like there's a book on fire on the cover. Come on now. Also, look at that. Stunning. It's just, this isn't the type of novel I typically pick up. Like when I read fantasy, I like high fantasy, but this feels like dystopian maybe. So I'm actually quite interested to pick this. Oh, and her mom gets killed. Okay. It kind of is giving Divergent. Oh my God, there's a little dog with a sweater. Getting distracted. Anyway, I am really excited to pick this up. Again, just need to prioritize it over some of the more exciting fantasies that I have. After that, we have The Majesties. This I picked up from an Ollie's. If you're not familiar with Ollie's, because I don't know if they have them everywhere, it's like a discount store where things that like don't sell at regular like Target, Walmart type stores, Ollie's buys them in bulk and sells them for really cheap at their stores. So I got this for like $2, and it sounds really interesting. It's about two sisters from a Chinese-Indonesian family grapple with their past after one of them poisons the entire family. Sounds fantastic. And the reason I was drawn to this is this cover art reminds me of one of my favorite artists. I can't remember his name. Joseph Lee. Yeah, so he actually did the cover, which is super exciting because I love his art and that's what drew me into it in the first place. So the fact that he actually did the cover is very exciting. I don't know how I didn't notice that sooner, but I am actually really interested in picking this one up. It sounds very interesting. It's just, again, out of my typical genres, which are mainly like fantasy, sci-fi. So this is more just like lit fic, I guess. A sobering look at the dark side of extreme wealth among Chinese families in Indonesia. Sao's depiction of domestic abuse is powerful. Okay, so kind of like a dark lit fic maybe. I'm excited to read this, and the cover, stunning. Now we have one final book, Teen Killers Club, which, you know, interesting. This one almost got the axe when I was doing my last book unhaul, but then, because I've had it for so long, but then I read the description, it was like, no, it's gonna stick around. Also, it's blurbed by Kendara Blake, who is the author of the 3 Dark Crowns series, and what did she have to say? Sick, twisted, fast-paced fun. All right. So, our main character, Signal de Ree. When was this published? Good lord, Signal de Ree. Why are we not getting a date? 2020? And we're calling our character Signal de Ree? Okay, maybe it has some significance and I'm being too harsh of a judge. But anyway, she is an unhappy goth misfit from the trailer park. And then she's convicted of her best friend's murder, but to avoid prison, she signs up for a secret program for 18 and under Class A's. Okay, Class A's are like the most dangerous teen criminals, I guess. They'll train as assassins. But even in the Teen Killers Club, Signal doesn't fit in. Maybe it's because her name's Signal. Anyway, that might make it hard for me to read this, but I am interested in the premise of this. I don't know. It's praised, or like a blurb by so many people. Not any that I heard of, but Joelle Charbonneau, author of The Testing, which is the dystopian series I've read, she blurbed it. Action-packed, highly addictive, and uncomfortably heartfelt. Readers won't be able to forget Teen Killers Club or its characters who refuse to fit into any mold. Okay, uncomfortably heartfelt is not something I would have thought to describe this, but I'm interested. And I do really like this cover style. And I know my brother's also interested in this. Maybe we can like read it together. Oh, a little buddy read. I know you're watching. Is that something that sounds good to you? Yeah, we're gonna do it. Anyway, so those are all of my books. There are quite a few of them. Let's count how many we have in total. Okay, so we have 17 books in total. I would like for it to be like a nice even number, but this is already kind of a lot of books. So maybe as we read some, we can add some new ones into the mint to get to 20. Who knows? We'll have to see. But those are all the books that you will be seeing in upcoming vlogs of me trying to tackle everything I have here. I simply own too many books, and I know I'm gonna be getting some new books, especially because like there's so many new releases coming out this year that I'm so excited about. I don't have room on my shelves for that, so we're gonna have to be getting rid of some things, and that means reading the things we've been putting off for a really long time. Oh, and I will mention I was gonna put Belladonna by Adeline Grace on this list as well because I have 2 copies of it, and so it takes up twice as much space, and it's been on my shelves since it came out. Like I pre-ordered a copy, but I'm actively currently reading it right now. At least I'm making progress, and I'm not really loving it. So there's that. In order to help me prioritize actually reading these books, I think I'm going to dedicate a whole shelf to them. There might have to be a few other things on here just because I don't think they're going to fit anywhere else, but I'm going to put them all on a shelf together. And it's not a very visible shelf, but it's the shelf that I have available. So I'm going to put them all there so that I can see them all. And when I'm thinking, what should I read? I go to this shelf first. So that's what I'm going to do. Okay, so now I have a full shelf dedicated to these books. They are stacked in there, but they're at least all together now. So again, when I'm thinking, what should I read next? I go to this shelf first and I can pull from there. So that brings us to the end of this video. Stick around to see me read through all of these books and tackle my TBR. Are we gonna call it TBR tackle? I feel like that's ripping off Riley Marie because that's what she calls hers. I'll figure something out for it, but maybe like read or unhaul. I don't know. Give me suggestions for what I should call this title or this series. We'll figure it out. But those are all the 17 books I'm gonna be reading. Do you have any recommendations of what I should get to first, or any that you've read and you're like, absolutely just unhaul it right away, don't even bother? Let me know. Otherwise, I will be reading all of these in upcoming vlogs, reading vlogs. So stick around for that. Comment down below if you've read any of these, if you think I should just unhaul them right now, and give this video a like and subscribe if you want to see those vlogs, because I'm a lot of fun. My reading vlogs are a really great time. So stick around for that, and I will see you in the next one. Toodaloo!